In the vast contested expanse of the West Philippine Sea, a seismic shift is occurring. The Philippines, a nation often perceived as a geopolitical underdog, has initiated a series of unexpectedly bold maneuvers. This is not mere diplomatic posturing. This is a calculated assertion of sovereign rights. A David, long shadowed by a Goliath, has decided to step forward, sling in hand. The reverberations of this courage are being felt across the Indo-Pacific and indeed around the globe. China, the regional superpower, appears momentarily stunned, its usual script of overwhelming presence met with an unforeseen defiance. The West Philippine Sea, a critical artery for global trade and a treasure trove of marine resources, has once again become a focal point of international concern. Yet this time, the dynamics feel different. There's a new energy, a palpable resolve emanating from Manila, signaling that the old ways of interaction are no longer acceptable. The Filipino spirit, often characterized by its resilience, is now manifesting as proactive assertion. This is more than just a fleeting moment of bravery. It is the Philippines consciously, deliberately, and strategically rewriting its role. The West Philippine Sea, the internationally recognized term for the eastern parts of the South China Sea, falling within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone, is a region of immense strategic importance. Its shipping lanes are vital conduits for trillions of dollars in global trade annually. Beneath its waves lie significant, though largely untapped, reserves of oil and natural gas, alongside rich fishing grounds that sustain coastal communities. This inherent value has made it an arena of complex geopolitical maneuvering and increasingly direct confrontation. At the core of the dispute lies China's expansive and historically dubious Nine-Dash-Line claim, which unilaterally asserts sovereignty over nearly the entirety of the South China Sea. This sweeping claim, which encompasses vast areas of the Philippines' EZ, was decisively invalidated by a landmark 2016 ruling from the Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague. Yet Beijing has consistently refused to recognize or abide by this internationally binding judgment, choosing instead to escalate its presence. For decades, the Philippines has witnessed a creeping, then galloping assertion of Chinese power within its waters. However, the narrative of passive protest has dramatically shifted. The Philippines, under its current leadership, has decided that words alone are insufficient. A new strategy is emerging, one characterized by proactive, assertive actions on the water, designed to demonstrate unwavering resolve. This change in tack signals a new era, where the Philippines is no longer content to merely react, but is actively shaping the operational environment within its own maritime domain. A particularly striking example of this newfound boldness is the Philippine Navy's recent operations escorting Filipino fishermen back into traditional fishing grounds like Scarborough Shoal. The presence of Philippine naval escorts sends an unequivocal message. These waters belong to the Philippines, and its citizens have every right to pursue their livelihoods there, under the protection of their state. Simultaneously, the Philippine Coast Guard has significantly ramped up its presence and operational tempo. The PCG is actively deploying innovative anti-maritime militia measures, directly challenging the grey zone tactics employed by China. These bold strokes are components of a carefully considered, evolving national strategy aimed at upholding Philippine sovereignty and sovereign rights in the West Philippine Sea. The Philippines is not alone in this stand. Strengthening alliances with the United States is crucial. The Balikatan exercises demonstrate combined military strength. The 2025 Balikatan exercises were the largest ever. They included maritime security and amphibious landings. Australian and Japanese forces also participated. This shows a growing international consensus. A unified front signals a robust response. China's reaction to this newfound Philippine assertiveness has been telling. Initially, there was a period of conspicuous silence from Chinese state media. This tentative quiet suggested a degree of surprise within Beijing. Following this initial reticence, diplomatic protests began to emanate from Beijing. Chinese officials accused the Philippines of provocation and disrupting regional peace. These protests lacked their previous intimidating force. Analysts suggest Beijing underestimated Philippine resolve. For years, China had grown accustomed to a pattern of protest, followed by inaction. The current Philippine administration matches diplomatic pronouncements with actions. Despite the Philippines' bold actions, China's presence in the South China Sea remains. The Philippines' determined actions in the West Philippine Sea resonate far beyond its national borders, carrying profound global significance. This is fundamentally a struggle for the preservation of sovereignty and the upholding of a rules-based international order. It is a clear demonstration that principles enshrined in international law, such as the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, or UNCLOS, are not mere suggestions, but binding obligations that must be respected by all nations, regardless of size or power. Manila is, in effect, drawing a clear line in the sand, or rather in the waters of its own exclusive economic zone. This stand represents a critical test case for the international community. If a nation like the Philippines, armed with a clear legal victory from an international tribunal, can be systematically denied its sovereign rights through coercion and intimidation, it sets a dangerous precedent for maritime disputes worldwide. The outcome here will influence how other nations address similar challenges. The courage displayed by the Philippines is palpable and inspiring. By consistently referencing the ruling and backing it with tangible actions, escorting fishermen, challenging militia, Manila is transforming legal text into operational reality. The age-old narrative of David versus Goliath finds a powerful contemporary echo in the West Philippine Sea. The Philippines, with its comparatively modest military and economic resources, stands toe-to-toe with the colossal might of China. This imagery, while simplistic, captures the essence of the asymmetrical struggle. A nation armed with the righteousness of its cause and the backing of international law, challenging a giant that seeks to impose its will through sheer force and intimidation. This is not merely a dispute over fishing rights or submerged reefs, though those are undeniably critical components. At its core, this confrontation is about national dignity, the sovereign right of a nation to determine its own destiny, and the future geopolitical landscape of Southeast Asia. Other Southeast Asian nations with claims in the South China Sea, notably Vietnam, Malaysia and Brunei, are watching the Philippines' actions with intense interest. The Philippines' bold initiatives offer them a case study in effective resistance. What Manila is demonstrating is a potential blueprint for how smaller states can assert their agency, even when faced with overwhelming odds. The Philippines' resolute stance is not going unnoticed. It is garnering significant international attention and increasingly vocal support. Nations far beyond Southeast Asia, including major maritime powers from Europe and North America, have expressed growing concern over China's aggressive behavior and have voiced support for the Philippines' right to operate freely within its own exclusive economic zone, championing freedom of navigation and the adherence to international law. A small but symbolically potent development in this regard was the recent update by Google Maps. In April 2025, the platform made the West Philippine Sea label more distinctly visible for the waters within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. While Google stated the label had always existed, its enhanced visibility was warmly welcomed by Filipino officials, including the Speaker of the House, Martin Romualdez. Predictably, China's Foreign Ministry spokesperson reiterated Beijing's position that South China Sea remains the standard international designation. However, the subtle shift in the digital cartographic landscape reflects a growing international acknowledgement of the Philippine perspective. In the information space, these small victories accumulate, shaping global perceptions. The events unfolding in the West Philippine Sea, spurred by the Philippines' bold new assertiveness, mark a genuinely pivotal moment in contemporary global maritime politics. The long-standing status quo, characterized by creeping encroachment and a sense of inevitability regarding China's dominance, is being actively and effectively disrupted. What we are witnessing is not just a localized dispute, but a significant recalibration of regional power dynamics with far-reaching implications. The Philippines has powerfully demonstrated several crucial lessons to the international community. It has shown that determined assertiveness, grounded in international law, can effectively counter coercive tactics. It has underscored the enduring importance of robust alliances and partnerships in maintaining regional stability and a rules-based order. The message being sent to Beijing is unambiguous. Its campaign of maritime expansionism will not proceed unchallenged. The Philippines, with growing international backing, is holding the